The term mythology comes from the Greek word mythos, which means speech or discourse. As such, the way to understand mythologies which are found in different cultures is to view them as what people were talking about when trying to drunkenly explain to each other world events over beers. The stories gave one some sort of understandable grasp of the chaos of life. Even then they didn't know nor care for sure if their own understanding was entirely real. If something made sense, or they could pin an event to the actions of the gods, they could say they understood things, at least for a moment. These explanations were eventually embedded in books and poetry, and the rest is history, albeit convoluted. While reading these stories, you may have caught yourself at some point questioning why people thousands of years ago would believe in such things, but all one has to do is spend some time at the local pub, or even an online anonymous forum, to see what people are thinking about concerning who is to blame, and why they are doing it. We may not speak of Zeus and Mount Olympus anymore when we are slamming back beers, but we do talk about the Illuminati, the Bohemian Grove, debate possible members in the entertainment industry, discuss the lizard people, all the while wondering what, specifically, are the intentions of the untouchables, and how long everyone on Earth has to live. Most people have been taught that comic books are what make up modern-day mythologies, but that doesn't seem to be the case, honestly. As people know, Superman and Spider-Man are not real. Lex Luthor has never been blamed as the culprit behind a real-world event as far as I know. What is more feasible is that it is our conspiracy theories that make up modern-day mythology, because in 1,000 years, there will still be room for debate in sorting out the facts from the fiction, which would not be the case if our mythology was based on Marvel Comics. Science was supposed to be able to help us sort this out for us and to tell us what is real and what is not, but science can say nothing about true intention. To that, we have to invent an explanation on our own using a story or an analogy. Besides, intention implies meaning, and science doesn't study meaning. It can't. That is left up to the philosophers and storytellers. As such, the gods of the Illuminati make up our own modern-day Mount Olympus, and the study of the mythos leads to various pathways in both religion and politics. We will name real people in the process, but the archetypal representations shift when necessary. Nature abhors a vacuum, so when one member dies or moves on, another is there to fill a role. The Illuminati, like the gods, seem to have amazing powers, longevity, immense control, and frankly, no morals. They seemingly have no problem calling up weather modification machines to send hurricanes at cities, setting off nuclear weapons under the Earth's crust to create massive tidal waves that smite their economic enemies, or coming up with the finances to do anything they think is required to maintain their own house, despite the toll it takes on the rest of humanity. It would seem, then, that although we laugh at the conspiracy theorists as being fundamentally delusional and mentally disturbed, it is their imaginations and ability to explain things which will last the ages. It is not the bartering capabilities and extraordinary bookkeeping of the local merchant that lives on in memory from Greece, but instead it is Zeus, Poseidon, and all of the gods who work with them to commit their atrocities. The mythology is what people talked about while slamming back wine and beer, just as it is in our own time when speaking of the Majestic 12 or our lizard overlords. Which stories from the Bohemian Grove are fact? Which parts are fiction? Do they actually sacrifice living people on the owl statue? We don't know, because we were never invited. all we are left with are second and third-hand accounts to weave into our stories, and the rest we fill in with our imaginations. Just as the city of Troy was eventually discovered, so too will the Bohemian Grove once again be rediscovered, which will lead our own great-grandchildren to look back and wonder, did those things really happen? The answer, as in all of the best mythology, is liminal.